I never knew a simple act of kindness would lead to my father's unbelievable fortune. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The silence was thick. My heart pounded like a drum. It was a Friday afternoon, the kind that promised a dull weekend ahead. I was in the coffee shop, the one where I took my dad every Sunday. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped me, but it did nothing to distract from the feeling creeping in my chest. I watched through the foggy window as rain drizzled down, droplets racing each other. Then I saw him. A man in a tattered coat, eyes dull, standing in the rain. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the echo of my father's words, always be kind. I grabbed a small bag of pastries and hurried outside, drenched in seconds. My hands trembled as I handed it to him. His eyes sparkled for a moment, surprised. But that moment faded quickly. He looked at the food, then to my face. "Thank you," he whispered. I turned back to the coffee shop, the warmth calling me. But part of me stayed with him, feeling the coldness of his world. That night, everything changed. My phone pinged as I watched the news, the screen lighting up my small room. Local hero or mysterious benefactor? The man I'd met was on the TV. They said he was a millionaire, someone who had lost everything due to a scandal. And now, here was my face, my simple act of kindness, plastered across the news. My father sat next to me, eyes wide. "You didn't," he said, voice thick with disbelief. "Did you know?" But I didn't know. I never knew that one moment of compassion would unravel everything I thought I knew about my father. Things stirred inside me, questions bubbling. What was my dad hiding? What did it all mean? Why had things shifted so suddenly? I couldn't breathe. My heart raced again as I stared at the endless possibilities swirling in the air. All I wanted was a cup of coffee and to forget about the rain, but now, everything was different. And it felt like a storm was brewing deep inside, with questions spiraling out of control. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The following morning, the weight of the revelations pressed on my chest like a boulder. The sun crept into my room, reluctant to banish the shadows that clung to me. I threw on a hoodie, its fabric still faintly smelling like my dad's cologne, and stepped outside, hoping the morning air would wash away the lingering confusion. As I walked, the streets felt unfamiliar, as though they had been rearranged overnight. Familiar faces passed by, but I saw them through a new lens of suspicion. Their ordinary smiles and waves seemed tinged with something darker. What did they know about me? About my father? The rain had stopped, but I was still drenched in uncertainty. I wandered to the park, where flowers bloomed in defiance of the gray sky, their colors bright against the backdrop of the turbulent week. Sitting on a bench, I let out a heavy sigh, hoping the soft rustle of leaves could carry my worries away. Moments later, an elderly woman settled on the opposite end of the bench. Her white hair curved like soft clouds, contrasting with the vibrant playground nearby. "Beautiful day for a walk, isn't it?" she said, her voice gentle like a balm to my restless spirit. Her smile felt warm against the cold thoughts swirling in my head. "I guess so," I replied, forcing a smile. "I always say a little kindness goes a long way," she continued, her gaze steady. "It keeps our hearts warm, especially when the world feels chilly." I nodded, remembering the man from the coffee shop and how a small act of kindness had sparked this chaos. "I suppose you're right," I murmured. "My late husband used to say something similar. He believed that every person we meet is carrying a burden we can't see. Sometimes, kindness is all we have to offer." For a fleeting moment, her words wrapped around me like a comforting embrace. But then, the weight of my reality crashed back in. What if my kindness had consequences I never intended? I blurted, the words spilling out before I could hold them back. She looked at me, her eyes filled with wisdom. Ah, young one, life is full of unforeseen ripples. Sometimes the act of kindness is its own reward, regardless of what follows. You cannot bear the weight of others' choices. That I appreciated her insight, yet it didn't quell the storm brewing within me. The past day had thrust me into a world where kindness had become a double-edged sword, shifting the balance of all I held dear. As she ambled away, our conversation still flickering in my mind, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, heart racing. My father's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated, then answered. Hey, it's me. His voice was tight, strained. Can we talk? I think we need to go to the office. The office? My gut twisted. What's happening? They've been trying to reach me. It's about the man you helped. His voice trembled ever so slightly. There are things you need to know. This isn't about what we saw on the news, is it? I pressed, knowing that if I followed him, I might uncover something I was not ready for. It's deeper than that, he replied, and I could sense the urgency in his tone. Please, just meet me. I can't explain over the phone, and just like that, the storm inside me swelled, threatening to spill over. I had seen flashes of a world that was more complicated than I had imagined. Now, the horizon darkened as I contemplated the choice before me: my father, the man I thought I knew, or continue to walk this unsteady path alone. What if I don't want to? I shot back, a defiance bubbling up like fury. Then that's your choice, he said softly, then hung up. With the weight of his words latching onto my heart, I looked towards the park's entrance. Each step towards the office felt like it could change everything. But as I took my first step, a sudden jolt of realization hit me. Our world was about to collide with the past. That I had no idea what my father was hiding, but there was no turning back now. I needed to know what lay behind the veil of secrets. Was my act of kindness a stroke of fate or the catalyst of disaster? As I turned to leave the park, the skies opened up once more, unleashing a torrent of rain, and just before my vision blurred, I caught a glimpse of someone watching from a distance, eyes piercing through the storm, filled with knowing and malice. The rain pelted down with an angry ferocity, but I didn't register the cold or the heaviness soaking through to my bones. My mind was a whirlwind, spiraling through possibilities as I trudged toward my father's office. Every weary step was accompanied by the growing dread that something dreadful lay ahead, something interconnected with the life I had known and the tumultuous reality I was facing. As I reached the building, the thick glass doors loomed like guardians of a fortress, concealing the truth inside. I hesitated, caught between the fear of what might be unearthed and the burning need to confront what lay hidden. With my heart pounding, I pushed through the doors, the chime of the bell above sounding hollow in the quiet air. My father sat behind his desk, already looking older under the stark fluorescent lights. Lines of worry etched into his face deepened as I entered, and he looked up, momentarily startled. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice weaving through the silence, carrying an uncharacteristic tremor. The clutter of papers and old coffee cups sprawled across his desk felt alien, as if they were remnants of a life unsettled. Just tell me what's going on, I said, my frustration snapping against the weight of the atmosphere. You said it was about the man I helped. He rubbed his temples, as if steadying himself before launching into the fray. Yes, well, it's complicated. The man you helped has connections, dangerous ones. He's part of a larger network that I've been tracking for years. The room spun slightly as I sunk into the chair across from him. What network? What, like, drug trafficking? Human smuggling? My voice shook with disbelief, but I knew the world could be dark beneath its surface. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I didn't think it would intersect with our lives, my father replied, his eyes darting, unwilling to meet mine. I wanted to protect you. When I learned you were involved, I thought I could handle it. Handle what? You've been lying to me. I felt a swell of wrath break at the seams. I tried to do something good, Dad. And now, we've been fortunate, he interrupted, his tone sharpening. You've been sheltered from this reality. But if they find out you helped him, that kindness could put a target on your back. It's more than a simple act, it's a chain reaction that my heart lurched as a chilling thought gripped me. Is that why I saw someone watching me? My voice lowered to a whisper, afraid to invoke the very darkness I feared. He nodded slowly, compassion entwined with fear. You need to be careful. I should have protected you from all of this, but I didn't realize how intertwined our lives had become. There was a brief silence as the weight of our words hung in the air like an oppressive fog. The world outside vanished as I grappled with this new realistic series of consequences stemming from well-intended kindness. My father had lived a life intertwined in shadows, and I had unwittingly stepped into that world, bringing an innocence that now felt like a curse. Suddenly, my phone buzzed on the desk, a sharp sound that sliced through the tension. I picked it up, my heart racing when I saw an unknown number flashing on the screen. I hesitated, looking up at my father. Should I answer it? It could be important, he urged, worry etched into each feature. Taking a deep breath, I accepted the call, my pulse quickening. Hello? A pause on the other end felt like an eternity before a gritty voice broke through. You've stirred the pot, kid. And now the heat's coming. If you want to stay safe, meet me where it all began, the coffee shop. Alone? That I am not going anywhere alone. I protested, the fear now rising like bile in my throat. Incorrect. The next time you involve your father, he might not be the only one in danger. The voice chuckled darkly before the line went dead. As I hung up, dread washed over me, the chilling implications pulling me under like a riptide. I glanced at my father, whose face had drained of color. What do I do? I whispered, feeling the world tilt beneath my feet. He leaned closer, desperation in his eyes. You must stay low for now. We'll figure this out together. I won't let anything happen to you, but deep down, I felt the ground giving way. Kindness had shattered the barrier between my safe world and one filled with shadows. And now, in the wake of a storm I had unintentionally conjured, I faced a decision that could either entangle us further or cut through the chaos. Stay safe, but be vigilant, he added gravely, his hand reaching out, but I flinched, barred by my confusion and fear. The moment lingered, and in that space, I saw the vulnerability in his gaze, a reminder that he was just as lost in this new territory as I was. A coffee shop. I can't go there. They'll expect me, I murmured, dread rippling through me. Then we'll figure out an alternative, he insisted, determination lacing his voice. Yet, even he seemed uncertain about the shadows creeping closer. I felt the weight of secrets pressing down on me as the calm outside felt an eternity away. In that quiet office, nestled in uncertainty, I realized I was straddling a precipice, one that could lead to darkness or reveal truths I wasn't ready to confront. And as I gazed out the window, the shadows deepened, casting a pall over everything and whispering that what lay ahead would require more than just kindness, it would demand courage I wasn't sure I possessed. The air in the office felt electric with unspoken fears, and my father's brow was furrowed, lines of worry carving deeper paths across his face. I turned to the window, eyes restless as I watched the rain smear the streets outside. Much like my thoughts were blurred and muddy. Maybe you should go, my father finally suggested, his voice low and cautious. If someone's expecting you, it could play into your favor. Draw them out. Draw who out? Just the thought of it, I said, shivering slightly as more droplets splattered against the glass. I can't just walk into a trap. Sometimes the only way to confront your fears is to step into them, to reclaim your power, he replied, an unexpected warmth igniting his words. We must face this together. I laughed bitterly, the sound harsh against the tremors of anxiety coursing through me. You're the one who kept this from me, who didn't think I could because I wanted to protect you. He snapped, emotion bubbling up. I've watched you navigate life with a certain innocence. I didn't want to shatter it by dragging you into my world of shadows. His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw the vulnerability in his stance. Just as I felt isolated in my storm, he was battling his own. The gravity of this realization soothed some of my anger. You should have trusted me, Dad. I've been fighting my own battles here, just as much as you. He sighed, a heavy burden settling between us. You're right. I should have told you the truth from the beginning. But the past can cloud judgment, especially when it feels like it might take someone's life. The silence that followed hung heavily, punctuated only by the faint sound of rain, a mother whispering to soothe pain. I don't want to lose you in this, he said at last, tension coiling in his shoulders. I stole a glance at him, finding a raw confession lurking behind his guarded exterior. What if I go to the coffee shop? I said slowly. What if I can handle this? Then you need a plan, a way to protect yourself if things go sideways. If you decide to go, you need to be aware of your environment, and I will be waiting close by. As impossible as it felt, there was a flicker of hope jangling within me. Maybe I could do this. But what if hope wasn't enough? Anxiety settled back in, the anxious thoughts spiraled even louder when I remembered the voice on the phone and the threats hanging in the air, like dark shadows beckoning me closer. We made a plan, one filled with details and contingencies, but still fraught with unknowns. I practiced my breathing, trying to steal courage from the air around me. As I prepared to step back out into the storm, I reached for the small pendant hanging around my neck, a gift from my mother. It was a simple thing, but it felt like grounding in chaos, a reminder of the strength she had once imparted. It'll be okay, my father murmured, offering one last glance filled with paternal care as I nodded, though the tremor in my heart begged otherwise. Before I left, he pressed a piece of paper into my hand, a contact number. If anything feels wrong, call me. No matter what. Without breaking the gaze, I tucked it safely into my pocket. As I stepped into the rain-soaked streets, my heart raced with both excitement and dread. I couldn't shake the sense that the world was about to shift beneath me again. The familiar coffee shop loomed ahead, its warm glow contrasting against the gray sky. I hesitated at the entrance, a knot of trepidation tightening in my stomach. The bell above jingled as I walked in, a sound that seemed too cheerful amidst this tension. The place was deserted except for a lone figure sitting at the back, draped in shadows and sipping slowly from a steaming cup. My breath caught, the sight sending adrenaline coursing through my veins. It was too quiet, an eerie stillness that wrapped around me like an unwelcome cloak. Just a coffee, I murmured to myself as I approached the counter, trying to maintain a facade of calm. The barista barely looked up from his screen, a sign of the looming chaos tucked behind an unassuming exterior. I ordered and waited, every tick of the clock amplifying the tautness in the air. As I turned my gaze back to the figure, my heart raced. Was this the person who had called me? Did they truly intend to help, or had I stepped deeper into danger? When my drink was finally ready, the moment to act crumbled before me like a fragile structure. I sipped cautiously, the warmth spreading through me, but the tension remained. The mug trembled in my grasp as I caught the figure watching me intently. Nice of you to join us, the figure said, their voice smooth, but edged with something I couldn't quite place. My pulse quickened as I approached, unable to break free from a pull that felt like both magnetism and a warning. Who are you? I demanded, my voice steadier than I felt. The person tilted their head slightly, revealing just enough to hint at familiarity, and then I froze. We need to talk. The truth isn't what it seems, they said, eyes sharp with unsaid promises and threats entwined. A cacophony of emotions surged within me. Who was this person? What truth awaited me in the folds of their words? And just when I thought I had stepped into the world of shadows, I realized I was on the precipice of an unimaginable revelation that could shatter everything I thought I knew. In that moment, I felt the precariousness of my existence, and the shadows whispered back, a sinister gust flowing through the air, reminding me that kindness could indeed unlock the greatest upheavals, and I was only beginning to unearth the darkness intertwined with my father's past. The person's voice lingered in the air, tossing questions through my mind like leaves caught in a storm. I searched their face, desperate for recognition to anchor me in this chaotic reality. My pulse raced, drowning out the sounds of the caffeine clattering of cups, the hiss of the espresso machine, the distant chatter of the unknown. Who are you? I repeated, louder this time, as if demanding an answer would grant me clarity. Someone who knows much more than you realize, they replied with a knowing smile that made my skin crawl. But the truth, it can be a weapon or a shield. And right now, you must decide what to do with it. A weapon? Against who? My mind raced, teetering between the suspense of discovery and the dread of what their words foreshadowed. I can't say here. They leaned forward, drawing me in like a moth to a flame. But there is something you need to understand about your father, and the world he tried to protect you from. There's more at stake than just the shadows lurking around us. A thundering heart echoed in my chest, the fear pulsing in rhythm with my racing thoughts. I was torn, standing on the edge of uncertainty. Is this about the call? Was it you, indirectly? They hesitated, taking in my agitation. But this isn't just about threats, this entwines with a Fortunia legacy of sorts. You've only scratched the surface. A fortune. My mind recoiled, flashbacks of my father's worried expressions dragging me back into memories of lessons learned through whispered secrets and silent burdens. What do you mean? My father has kept his world from you to protect you, yes. Their eyes glimmered, reflecting both warmth and a chilling truth. But every layer of protection comes with its own cost. You deserve to know what he has sacrificed. The weight of the word fell heavy on my chest. What did he sacrifice? The figure pressed their lips together in thought, maintaining an air of mystery. You'll find out in time, but it requires trust. You must trust me, and that isn't easy, especially with so much hidden behind the fog of what you've endured. A softness lingered in their gaze as I wrestled with the emotion rising within me. Trust, a word that felt like a golden ticket dangled in front of me yet was ensconced in thorns and misgivings. I yearned for answers, but hope and fear fought within me like raging dueling horses that I swallowed hard. Why should I trust you? Because, they dropped their voice to a whisper, as if the walls themselves had ears. I know a darkness that knows no mercy, and I know a way to protect you from it. Just then, a loud crash disrupted the moment. A patron had knocked over a chair, and the brief chaos punctured the illusion of intimacy we had been enveloped in. My heart thundered anew, breaking the fragile connection we had forged. Not here, the figure suddenly declared, the urgency of their tone slicing through the clamor. We need to go, things are more dangerous than you know. This is just the beginning. My breath caught in my throat, instinct screaming caution. What tangled web had I stepped into? Just then, a raindrop tapped against the window, its relentless dance echoing my own racing thoughts. Wait. I almost shouted, my mind urging caution over curiosity. If we leave now, Ito, you want the truth or not? They locked their gaze with a fierce intensity that made my heart race faster. I wanted to defy them, wanted to stand my ground, but the promise of revelations loomed like a beacon pulling me into the unknown. Drawing a deep breath, I faced the familiar shadows that danced in the corners of my mind. All right. I'll go with you. With that agreement, a sense of inevitability washed over me. I finally felt the weight of my decision. As we stepped outside into the downpour, the rain soaked through my clothes, a chilly reminder of the storm outside and the turmoil lying just beneath the surface of my life and of my father's life. What's your name? I asked, struggling to keep pace with the figure who moved with purpose. Call me Jace, they said, glancing back, shadows veiling their features. And here's the first thing you need to learn, not everyone in your father's world is an ally. Sometimes, kindness can be a weapon in disguise. The urgency of their words dripped with caution, making me acutely aware of how every step pulled me deeper into uncharted waters. The rain washed my fears away like ink on paper, leaving raw emotions exposed. But then, without warning, I heard a familiar voice shout my name from a distance. I turned just in time to see my father's frantic figure cutting through the rain, panic painting urgency across his face. No! I screamed, fear gripping me as I lunged toward him. But Jace's grip tightened around my wrist. Trust me, don't look back. Torn, I felt the pull of my father's worry and the firm hand of this stranger guiding me toward the unknown. Did trust mean turning my back on the one person I thought I knew best? And then, Jace whispered ominously, the truth is never easy, and sometimes, it chooses the most shocking times to reveal itself. As my father's cries faded into the storm, I felt the weight of a choice anchoring me in place, the heartbreaking realization washing over me. His journey had only just begun, and the real danger wasn't just about dark shadows from the past. It was the trust one was about to unravel with my very own father. The rain pelted down harder, drenching everything in its path, as if the sky was mourning the choice I had just made. Each raindrop felt like a reminder of what I was leaving behind. Jace tightened their grip on my wrist and we darted into the muddied streets, the chaos of my emotions swirling around us. Why shouldn't I just run to him? I managed to gasp, heart pounding with both fear and adrenaline. Each step we took away from my father felt like a betrayal. Because he's part of this web, Jace said, their voice steady despite the tempest raging around us. He's held secrets that could change everything you know. You have to understand that love and truth don't always share the same path. That I looked back, the silhouette of my father becoming smaller as we rounded a corner. His desperation sent a sting of panic through me, but Jace's steady presence acted as my anchor. If he knows more than he's told me, then how can I trust him? How can I trust you? Trust takes time, Jace replied, their gaze shifting ahead. But love? Love can blind us. It can lead us to dangerous places. Your father has a love for you that borders on obsession, but it's the truths he hides that threaten to consume you both. Jace turned sharply, glancing down a narrow alleyway where dim light flickered from an old sign creaking in the wind. With a nod, they guided me through the doorway, the musty smell of damp wood and old books overwhelming my senses. It felt like stepping into a forgotten era. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Shelves crammed with volumes of knowledge lined the walls, whispering forgotten stories and the weight of history. A lone candle flickered on a table, casting shadows that danced like phantoms. Welcome to the sanctum, Jace said softly, where silence reigned beneath the downpour outside. Here, we unlock the secrets your father tried to shield you from. I took a tentative step forward, heart thundering. What exactly do you mean by secrets? There are things hidden within these pages, records of your family's legacy. For generations, your lineage has been entwined with power, wealth, and guardianship over secrets that could change the world or destroy it. Your father was meant to guide you, but fear has suffocated the truth. As Jace spoke, a small flicker of hope ignited inside me. Could my father have kept me from the truth to protect me, or had it been to uphold some hidden agenda? Every part of me burned to understand. Show me, I urged, my voice trembling. Jace moved to a particularly dusty tome, carefully lifting it from the shelf. The worn leather cover felt ancient under my fingertips. This is one of the many that detail your family's history, connections made and broken, debts owed, battles fought in shadows. What does it say? I asked, breath hitching as I sensed a connection to my identity that had eluded me for so long. Only you can uncover its true meaning, Jace replied, leaning closer. But be warned, the road to understanding is fraught with pitfalls. Each revelation could shatter your reality. Tentatively, I opened the book, the musty scent of paper enveloping me. My eyes scanned the pages filled with a script I couldn't decipher, but images began to drift past my mind's eye, dark silhouettes, flickers of blinding lights, and the weight of looming decisions. But then, before I could immerse myself in the depths of my lineage, the world outside the sanctum erupted in chaos. Glass shattered, screams cut through the rain-soaked air, a jarring reminder that danger lurked even in this concealed haven. What's happening? Panic besieged me. I slammed the book shut, heart accelerating. Jace's expression hardened. We need to move. It seems your past isn't finished with you yet. Stay close. As we bolted toward the back exit, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom threading through my veins. Would my father be waiting in desperation at the other end of the storm? Or had I just tangled deeper into a danger that was meant for me alone? But just as we reached the door, it swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows, their face concealed. Stop! You don't know what you're getting into. The figure shouted, voice echoing ominously through the narrow confines. I froze in place, a pulse of terror trickling down my spine. The weight of the secrets my father had buried loomed larger than ever, the clash of love and betrayal crashing violently in my mind. As the candle flickered one last time, I realized I was standing at a precipice, teetering between the veils of trust and the echoes of the past. With a revelation I had yet to face, the figure stepped closer, and their next word sent chills down my spine. you think you can escape your destiny? You must know the truth, your father isn't the only one keeping secrets. The air crackled with tension as the shadowed figure loomed before us, the candlelight casting eerie shapes upon their faces, a mask of mystery and menace. I felt Jace's grip tighten around my arm as they edged in front of me protectively, ready to shield me from whatever storm was about to break. Who are you? I managed to breathe, dread curling in my stomach. The chaos outside seemed distant now, the world reduced to this moment, this encounter, as if all roads had converged here. That I am a friend, the figure said, voice low and compelling. Or perhaps am an enemy. It all depends on how you choose to proceed. They stepped forward, revealing a glint of metallic silver in their hand, a key, no larger than a coin. This is for your family, Iris. For the secrets you're trying so hard to unearth. The name hung in the air like fog, my heart hitching at the sound of it. How do you know my name? I know more than just your name. I know of your father's legacy, and I know the weight of the secrets he carries. You need to understand that you are pivotal in everything that is at stake. But this key, it opens doors. Literal and metaphorical, Jace's expression was a mixture of intrigue and caution, their eyes darting between me and the stranger. You're playing a dangerous game, whoever you are. We have no time for riddles. That I am not playing games, the figure replied, their voice sharpening. Your time is running out. Those who wish to control the truth are not far behind. They want to keep it buried, just like your father. But you? You have the power to change that. What do you mean? I asked, desperation creeping into my tone. The rain rattled against the roof in a rhythm that matched my quickening pulse. The truth lies not just with your father but in his past decisions. The wealth and power your family has hoarded come at a price. A price that must be paid or reclaimed. The figure held up the key, the light glinting off its surface, drawing my gaze. What's the key for? I pressed, yearning for the answers shrouded in his cryptic words. There's a vault hidden away, full of memories that were buried long before you were born. Decisions made in shadows, promises broken, hope reborn. This key can open it, but only you can choose to reveal what's inside. Why should I trust you? I challenged, my heart torn between the lure of discovery and the instinctual urge to run back to the familiar embrace of my father, despite his secrets. Because sometimes, a stranger will offer you the truth more than those you love, they replied, a hint of pain lacing their words. Your father is consumed by guilt for things he cannot change. He will do anything to protect you, even if it means binding you to a past you do not yet understand. Let's go, Jace insisted, eyes flickering with urgency. Time's wasting. We don't know if others are searching for you, but there was a spark within me, ignited by that single flicker of hope that perhaps I could reclaim not just knowledge, but a part of my destiny. Wait. What's the first step? I demanded, grounding myself amid the chaos swirling in my heart. The figure tilted their head slightly, curiosity playing in their voice. You must confront your father. He is pivotal in this unfolding story. Understand his choices, and then you will hold the key to your own fate. With that, they slipped the key into my hands, their fingers brushing against mine for a brief second, a warmth blooming amidst the storm of uncertainty. You will know when the time is right, they said, taking a step back, the shadows beginning to wrap around them like a second skin. Wait. I shouted, but the figure faded into the darkness, leaving only the echo of their words hanging in the air. Jace turned to me, determination etched into their features. We need to find your father, Iris. We need to know what he's hiding. Nervous energy thrummed through me as we stepped out into the rain-laden night. Each droplet was a reminder of the obstacles ahead, but beneath that weight, I felt the pulse of possibility growing stronger. That maybe, just maybe, I could change everything. But as we rounded the corner, a horrifying sight froze me in my tracks. In the distance, amidst the glow of flickering street lamps, I saw a figure clutching a familiar scarf, the same one my father had draped around his shoulders only hours before. No, it can't be, I whispered, dread curling my stomach into knots. My father was hunched over, the vibrant crimson of the scarf stark against the gray stone. Stay here, Jace whispered urgently. But I was already breaking from their grasp, propelled by panic and the need to protect. As I approached, I could see the truth crystallizing before me. My father lay collapsed upon the cobblestones, the rain mingling with the dark streaking down his face, a picture of despair. And amidst that haunting scene, I felt a sudden, suffocating fear twist around my heart. What had he done, and why was the darkness finally catching up to him? I was about to uncover a truth more profound than mere secrets. I was about to witness the fall of the one I trusted most. Rain poured down like a curtain, muffling the world around me as I stumbled closer to my father. Jace's voice faded into a distant murmur, the urgency lost in the swell of emotions washing over me. Fear gripped my heart, each hurried footstep echoing the questions swirling in my mind. Why was he here? What had driven him to this moment of vulnerability? Father! I gasped, kneeling down beside him. My fingers brushed against the rain-slicked stones, tracing the outline of his body as if by touch I could mend him. He was breathing, shallow and labored, his face bruised and worn. The normally commanding presence of my father was reduced to this fragile form, breaking my heart into pieces. A sudden cough escaped his lips, and I cringed at the sound, startled by the vulnerability it embodied. "Iris," he croaked, eyes fluttering open for just a moment, filled with a storm of emotions that swept through me like a gale-force wind. Recognition mingled with shame, but before he could speak again, a fit of coughing overtook him, and my own helplessness surged. "That we need to get him out of the rain." Jace's voice broke through my haze of panic. They pressed a hand to my shoulder, urgency seeping through their grip. But the connection I felt to my father was undeniable. I didn't want to abandon him, not now. "No, please. Just help me," I pleaded, my voice trembling, mixing despair with a flicker of hope. "Help me get him home." With a shared resolve, Jace and I each took hold of my father's shoulders, carefully lifting him as he groaned softly. The weight of his body felt like carrying the responsibility of all our family's secrets. We made it to the car, my father resting in the back seat as I crouched beside him, drenched but willing to bear whatever burden he carried. "I'm here, Father," I whispered, willing him to look into my eyes and see the resolve building inside of Meth's unyielding desire to understand him, to understand us. That he slowly lifted one hand, trembling and damp, and reached for my face. "Iris, you shouldn't have come this life. It's too dangerous," he rasped, each word breaking like glass against the cold air. "Too dangerous. Or too complicated." I shot back instinctively, frustration coloring my voice. But deep down, a shiver of fear echoed through me. I needed to know the truth, and here he was, grasping for some semblance of power in a world he had long tried to shield me from. "I never wanted this for you," he said, vulnerability spilling from his lips like the rain washing away the remnants of his pride. "I made choices, grave ones, with the hope of keeping you safe." I thought his voice trailed off, the weight of his unspoken words palpable between us. "Thought what?" I pressed, my own fears momentarily eclipsed by the desire to know. "You thought keeping me in the dark would protect me? Or was it the ghosts of your past you were trying to hide?" He winced at my words but didn't retract them. The truth settled heavy in the air, intertwining with the electric tension between us. Jace watched quietly, a supportive presence as I breached the barriers that kept us apart. "Iris, there are things you don't understand. A fortune, our family's fortunite, came at a price," he finally admitted, voice trembling with the weight of years unshared. "And it's one that you may also have to pay. Tell me," I urged, my heart racing at the implications of what he could reveal. "Do you still have the key? The key that opens the vault?" My mind raced back to the figure's description of memories, choices tethered to the pasta mystery I was desperate to untangle. Why? Father hesitated, his gaze darting away, almost as if he feared the perspective I represented. "The key," he started, dragging a pained breath through ragged lips. "It's been hidden. I was going to take it to protect you, Iris." "Protect me from what?" I was almost shouting now, the tempest of emotion breaching the walls I had built. Jace squeezed my hand, grounding me, encouraging me to stay steady amidst the storm. My father looked as if the weight of the world was resting on his chest. "Your life, your choices, they're all tied to these secrets. And some of them, they're better off buried." But before I could respond, a sudden sound pierced the heavy silence. Sirens, in the distance, growing louder, approaching fast. Anxiety twisted inside me. Jace shot me a worried glance, and I knew they felt it too, their protective instincts flaring beneath the overwhelming tension. That we have to move, Jace urged, glancing toward the road, a mix of fear and resolve igniting in their eyes. No. I was firm, shaking my head. I can't just leave him. We can't. But as I looked down at my father, something shifted between us. The shadows of past mistakes loomed over our future, urging me to make a choice. My father's eyes met mine, filled with a blend of despair and fervent hope. There are forces at play, Iris, and they won't stop, he gasped, desperation lining his features. You must choose wisely before it's too late. That I felt a flicker of something cold run down my spine, the chilling realization that whatever secrets rested in that vault also tangled with my own Fatia destiny I was still trying to uncover. I will find the key, and I will uncover the truth, I vowed, staring into his weary eyes as if binding our fates through that declaration. But just as I felt a surge of determination rise within me, darkness rolled in like a thundercloud. The sirens grew closer, and I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps rushing toward us, echoing against the rain-slicked cobblestones. Go! Jace shouted, gripping my arm again before I could even process the danger that approached. We can't face them here, no. I can't leave him. I shouted back, feeling the urgency of time compress around me. I could see the headlights bouncing down the street, and with them, an unshakable sense of impending danger drew near. Just as I began to tilt my head back toward my father, a figure burst from the Shadowsa hooded silhouette that struck a sense of cold dread in my heart. The stranger from before? Or something darker still, Iris? We need to get out. Jace shouted again, but my heart raced for the choices ahead. And just as fear threatened to pull me under, a memory clawed its way to the surface, the key, the promise, the urgency coursing through me. Run! I yelled, and in that instant, the fragmented shadows of my father's past collided with the present, leaving me teetering on the brink of revelation and terrifying uncertainty. As the figure emerged from the encroaching shadows, the rain intensified, blurring my vision into a chaotic haze. My heart thudded in my chest like a war drum, every instinct screaming for escape, yet every beat was burdened with the weight of my father's palpable fear. Who are you? I called into the storm, feeling both small and powerful in my defiance. The silhouette halted, the hood obscuring their face but revealing a slight, menacing smile that sent shivers down my spine. Your secrets call for you, Iris, the figure whispered, their voice smooth but laced with an unsettling familiarity. The very tone ignited a wave of recognition in the depths of my mind, echoes of warnings, of family lore that had been smothered by silence. Stay back. Jace stepped in front of me, doing their best to shield me from the unknown, their body tense with readiness for a fight that none of us were prepared for. But the figure only chuckled, an eerie sound that twirled around us as if the storm recognized its own kind, brave, but ill-advised. Remember, the more you dig, the more the earth shifts under your feet. With those cryptic words, they stepped back, vanishing into the thickness of the rain. I was left with nothing but the thrum of my heart in my ears and confusion swirling like the storm around us. Let's go. Jace urged, grabbing my arm, but I couldn't budge. My eyes darted to my father, whose breaths echoed in the rain-soaked air. The conflict in my chest was like a raging fire, one side demanding I save my father, and the other screaming that we had to turn away from this battle that felt insurmountable. Please, I begged of him, searching desperately for any sign of lucidity. We need to talk. We can figure this out, together. My father squeezed my hand, the last remnants of strength visibly waning. Iris, there are people who, they will come for you if you dig deeper. It's a legacy soaked in blood and betrayal. You must listen. Stop. I cried, pulling away to shout at my father for the first time in years, not out of hate, but out of pure fear and heartache. You always told me I needed to be brave, to confront our past. I can't just ignore this. The escalating sound of sirens punctured our moment, and I felt the dread rise like bile in my throat. Jace's grip tightened around my hand, their voice grounding. We can uncover the truth later, but not like this. Not while they're out there. Suddenly, the shadows slinking along the ground grew longer, coiling with an urgency that resonated within my bones. I turned my head toward the direction of the footsteps, deeper and closer, like wolves circling their prey. I won't leave him. We can't. Your father can't protect you from what's coming. Jace shouted, their earnestness piercing, resonating within me. Their eyes were wide with alarm, urging me to understand my refusal could cost us everything, but just as I felt the ground beneath me tremble with my indecision, the figure re-emerged, now flanked by two others' muffled voices breaking through the storm, a bitter reminder that time was slipping through my fingers. Your inheritance will be a burden, Iris. A choice, a sacrifice, or your family's legacy lost. The hooded figure turned, their silhouette flickering through the rain like a specter. And they are always watching that I end that heartbeat of a moment. A realization shot through me. Whatever secrets my father had tucked away, whatever vestiges of the past lingered between us, those threads tied directly to me. The key was more than physical, it was a gateway to everything he feared I would uncover and to everything I needed to know. As the sirens drew closer, blending into the frantic pulse of my racing heart, I caught my father's pained expression beneath the downpour. The urgency reflected in his eyes spoke of desperation. He was still my father, lost and broken but wanting to protect me even as he veiled the truth. But what if the truth was a curse? If uncovering it meant we'd have to face the reality that our very existence was tied to something dark and unforgiving? Run, Jace. Please. I begged, feeling the adrenaline electrify my decision as my father's silent plea fought with the dread pooling in the pit of my stomach. Get to safety. I'll find you. Jace hesitated, torn between their loyalty and the fear etched on my face. Before they could respond, I pushed them away, turning back to my father, whose breath came in short, shallow gasps. Trust me, I whispered, that same fire of determination igniting within my soul. The path ahead was threading into a dark and tangled web, and whether I wanted it or not, I was enmeshed in it. But as I felt my hands over my father's, an abrupt movement caught my attention. A lithe form, gliding through the rain, lunging toward us with unexpected purpose. Abort the mission. The new figure shouted. Breathless and frantic, they reached out just as the world blurred painfully around me. No. I screamed, my heart racing as I caught sight of Jace sprinting away, lost amidst the chaotic storm, while time stood still caught in a loop of betrayal, revelation, and the echoes of fate unraveling before me. In that final moment, I caught my father's gaze, a tumult of emotions crossing through him as the shadows claimed him once more. I could feel the strands of destiny coil around me, tightening, constricting as the winds howled, and the storm swallowed my cries into the darkness ahead. The sound of the sirens grew deafening, drowning out the storm as if they were wailing for the very lives entwined in a desperate struggle. Time seemed frozen, caught in the balance between my father's fading strength and the shadows encroaching upon us. I had made my choice, but in that moment, fear clawed at my insides. What awaited me was an abyss of unknown truths, drawn closer by both the family bonds and hidden legacies entwined in secrets that I turned, my heart battling fiercely against the instinct to flee. You don't understand. I shouted upwards into the swirling chaos, desperation bleeding into my voice. I have to know, but as the figures closed in around us, I could feel the chill creeping over my skin. Whoever had come for us was merciless and determined. They had no intention of allowing our past to encroach upon their present. Iris, my father gasped, shifting just slightly against the asphalt, his eyes pleading but resolute. You have to believe me, whatever fate is coming for us, it connects with our legacy. With you. You need to find the key. The truth will set you free, he murmured, a fierce intensity behind his faltering breath. A weighty silence settled in the storm's wake, and for the first time, clarity washed over me. I could not run from the history that had paved the way for this very moment. I had a choice to make, but it was no longer just about safety. It was about understanding the burden we carried as a family. The hooded figure approached, their dark silhouette edging closer, and terror ignited within me. Please. I yelled, a mixture of anger and despair coloring my cry. What do you want? The question reverberated into the storm like a demand for answers that felt vital to securing my father's safety. Instead of answering, the figure paused, allowing the surrounding air to thicken with an eerie tension. We seek the truth, as much as you do. And now? Now it will reveal itself in time. Their words slithered across my skin, leaving goosebumps trailing in their wake. Time. I echoed. How much time do we have? Less than you think, a second figure, larger and cloaked in shadows replied, their voice resounding with authority. Your father has kept a secret for too long, and now it's your turn to bear the weight. That I couldn't help but look back at my father, whose chest rose and fell slowly, anguish coiled around him like a shroud. Iris, run. Find the key, he urged, his words pressed against my heart, soaked in the gravity of our circumstance. No. I shook my head, lost in fear but resolute. A rush of adrenaline propelled me as I took a step toward him. I won't leave you here, not like this. The figure named Jace thrust the approaching strangers to the back of my mind. I felt the strong pull of instinct guiding me. I am not afraid, and I will not abandon my father. As if the atmosphere shifted with my declaration, the world twisted. It felt as though the storm itself paused, waiting for the inevitable clash between light and darkness, our unspoken truths waiting to collide. The shadows were upon us now, twisting and morphing in ways I scarcely could comprehend. Jace stepped forward, their fierce eyes set ablaze, pulsing with courage. This isn't over. You'll have your answers, but not from here. They gripped my father under his arm, trying urgently to pull him toward safety. Together, I whispered, voice steadier than I felt. The resolve to unlock the past as a family burned brightly, igniting fragments of hope amidst the shadows. Just as tension hung thick in the air, a chilling laugh echoed through the downpour. The cloaked figure whirled toward us, eyes glinting with malice. Foolish children. The past cannot be undone, it simply waits for when it chooses to strike. In that heartbeat of chaos, the rain blurred the boundary between fear and clarity. I could feel the burgeoning strength within, the undeniable lineage of resilience coursing through my veins. And with that acceptance rooted deep, something inside me shifted, tremors of justice sparking to life as I glared back at the shadowed figures chasing us with relentless resolve. Perhaps it's time to take back what's ours, I declared, stepping forward, empowered by the truth I sought. Even if it came clothed in shadows. The air crackled with possibility as the figures faltered, intrigue fleeting across their expressions. But before I could act further, an ear-piercing blast erupted, the sound of sirens piercing the storm. Jace and my father responded instantly, and I felt the tingling warmth of the key they had given me, a physical heart, a promise of knowledge that awaited discovery. Move! Jace urged as they hoisted my father up, their determination unwavering. With Jace blocking one side, I turned to face the other, prepared to confront whatever darkness loomed behind us. You want our truth? I shouted. Then come and take it. But before the shadows could ensnare us, the cacophony of sirens grew ever closer, a rescue that illuminated hope amid despair. I grasped my father and Jace's hands tightly in mine, the bonds forged in chaos igniting a fierce strength that felt like a chain unbroken, unstoppable. As the figures recoiled, the promise of safety surged forward, and together we surged into the heart of uncertainty, where the past loomed heavy, yet the fire of resilience burned bright. Finally, with each step, I felt the chains of the past beginning to unravel, transforming into a legacy ready to be reclaimed. The storm finally gave way to something lighter. The burden of seeking truth in my father's shadow began to pave the way for a new dawn, a promise of hope. Together, I whispered once more, feeling the connection deepen as we barreled toward the future. This time, we face everything together, and in that last moment before the renewed light broke through the clouds, I felt the final tendrils of fear dissolve into acceptance. A knowing glance exchanged between us shimmered with the resilience of a family reborn, and I knew in my heart that we would prevail. The shadows behind us receded, folding back into the night, as we stepped into the glow of dawn, a future shaped by the choices we would make together. And perhaps now, the world would understand that kindness weaved into the fabric of courage could transform not just our identities but reignite a legacy meant to flourish. Every secret carries a truth, I thought, the answer whispering through my soul, and in mastering our legacies, we teach ourselves to embrace both the light and the dark. We were ready. And in that moment, with hearts intertwined, I whispered aloud the promise I now vowed to uphold. Together, we will face whatever shadows lie ahead.